Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here and welcome back to the railway. Today Hornby have released a brand new TT scale train set and I'm pretty excited about this one. So without any further ado, let's crack on. So up until today, Hornby have only produced 3 different TT scale train sets, and in my opinion, they've all had the same problem. They're too expensive. Now, there's been a lot of discussion about my views on TT pricing. Some people have disagreed with me. Some people think the price of TT is absolutely fine, and that's okay. People are allowed to disagree with me. I think most people, though, agree with me and think that TT prices are a little bit too high, especially nowadays. I guess that goes more for the non-train set items. The train sets themselves are actually pretty good value. But as much as the existing train sets are good value, the prices themselves are very, very high. So for example, we've got the Scotsman train set that's currently £179.50 at the retailers. The Easterner is only a little bit cheaper at £164.50, and the HST set is the most expensive of all at £225. Now Hornby have said, or Simon Kohler said, that TT scale wasn't really designed to convert modelers from other scales into TT. It was more geared towards attracting newcomers into the hobby so that they can start from scratch with TT scale. Now, given that that is the case, I do think the prices are a massive problem here. Think of that. We're dealing with people here who haven't yet decided that model railways are for them. They're just giving it a try to see if they like it, and then maybe if they do, they're going to spend a bit more. The cost of entry is just too high for that sort of person, isn't it? £150 minimum, more like 200 or 220 odd if you want the HST. That's a problem. Think about it in terms of Christmas presents as well. I mean, you're going to have to find a pretty fortunate family that can afford to pay up to 200 quid for a single present for their child. You know, that's a lot of money these days. And even if a family is fortunate enough to be able to afford that for one of their kids, that's pretty much going to be it for their Christmas presents, isn't it? They're not going to be getting a lot else besides that. So I really do think the price of Hornby's TT stuff of late has been too high. But just today, Hornby have released a brand new TT train set which addresses this in an almost unbelievable way. So today, and I apologise for this intro taking forever, but I think it needed to be said, today we are looking at this. Hornby's brand new branch line train set. The price of this is £99.99 RRP. That is the maximum price for this, and at the retailers it's 10% cheaper at £89.99. It is massively cheaper than any of the existing TT train sets that we've seen to date. Plus, everything in this train set, or at least the train itself, is brand new tooled. So we have a brand new LSWR B4 tank engine here. That has never been done before in TT. This is the first time we're seeing it. It's a basic model, think Hornby Railroad range, but in TT. That's what we're dealing with. Same with the wagons. We've got an open wagon and a box van. I believe both of these are brand new. And again, they're the closest thing I think we're going to get to a Hornby Railroad range in TT. Maybe that's the start of something, I don't know. Suddenly we have a train set that is well in budget for Christmas presents. It's well in budget for people who don't quite know if they want to get into TT or model railways, but it's cheap enough so that they can give it a go. And if it all goes horribly wrong and they decide, I want to go fishing instead, they can do that and they haven't spent 200 odd pounds. So I think this is a great move from Hornby. It's affordable, and we're going to talk later on about how affordable it is. If you break down everything in this, it's unbelievable for £90. It really is. So if you fancy trying one of these, affiliate links down in the description. But for now, let me open this up for the first time and we'll see what this is like. So the first thing to say is the size of this box is incredible. It is tiny. Seriously small. I'm sure I've got Acura scale locomotives, just locomotives, not train sets, that come in larger boxes than this. And I think that's really important because this communicates to newcomers that you are not making a massive investment here in terms of space. You don't need that much space for this, which is one of the main advantages of TT. Anyway, let me show you the end of the box here. You can see the product code, it's just there. It's TT1005M. That's what you need to look up if you want to grab one of these. The other thing, DCC ready. Hornby's 00 train sets, at least that contain a basic 040, they're not normally DCC ready. So if you can just throw a decoder into this loco and have it work on digital, that's absolutely awesome. Hopefully there's enough room for stay alive. But let's not mess about, let's get this out. I have not yet opened this box. In fact, it's only just arrived in the post. So here goes. Oh, here not goes because I can't grab it. No, I think I've got it. Right. Okay, so, goodness gracious, that loco is really tiny. Of course it's going to be, but look at that, it's smaller than the wagons almost. Quite an achievement for TT scale. Anyway, we've got instructions here, and that's the boring part, so I suppose we will get this out of the way first. Never seen this before from Hornby in any scale. In fact, B4 class, this is the first time we are seeing a locomotive in Hornby's TT range that has not appeared in Hornby's 00 range yet. The B4 is coming, but it's not here yet in 00. Anyway, do we learn much about the mechanism here? Just basic lubrication, body removal, looks like 2 screws. Those are for the couplings. Then you've got clips, that's fine. And then the body comes off, and there is the chassis. Nice cordless motor there, that looks good. And there is indeed a 6-pin DCC socket. So yeah, DCC ready. Straight away, that blows Hornby's 00 scale train sets right out of the water. Yeah, and nothing much on the back. Okay, so what do we actually get? Let's look at the loco first then, because that is the most interesting part of this. And there it is. It looks lovely, to be fair. Now, this is going to be a basic model. Of course it is. You're getting a whole train set here for £90. But there it is. And you know what? This looks beautiful. It is clearly quite simple in terms of its detailing, but the moulding quality's there because it's brand new tooled, of course. And the quality seems to be there as well. I mean, this has a die-cast running plate. Again, there's not very many cheap Hornby 040 train sets in 00 that have a locomotive with a die-cast running plate, and yet this one does, so the weight is really good, and no traction tyres on the wheels. That's very good to see. So more on that in just a second, and we'll see how it works later on. Let's have a look at the rolling stock then. So we've got the Bestwood open wagon here. Let's take a look at this. Also new tooled, as far as I know. So yeah, very, very simple. It doesn't have the complex brake rigging that the other TT wagons have. But again, that has allowed this to be produced as cheaply as it has been. And yeah, it's beautifully painted, isn't it? That's the other thing. It might be physically simple, but paintwork-wise, this looks absolutely excellent. Yeah, perfectly adequate for a beginner's starter set or whatever. And then we've got the van, which I assume is going to use the same chassis, but it's just got a different body clipped on, and yeah, that does seem to be the case. Same kind of chassis, same couplings, same wheels, but a lovely Southern Railway body in the grey. Yeah, that looks fantastic. Again, can't fault the moulding quality. It's simple in terms of separate parts, but moulded parts, absolutely fantastic. Nice work, it's just what TT needed. And then things get a little bit strange. We've got this controller. Now, that's a strange one, isn't it? I thought Hornby discontinued this controller years ago. It was about 6 years ago, I think, they introduced the new controller, which was the black box with the red knob. Yeah, this was supposed to have been phased out, but yet for some reason it is back in this train set. Now it's very similar to the current Hornby controller, except if you look at the back, it doesn't have a high and low mode, which is a shame. That's quite useful on the new controller. Plus it doesn't have the steady output like the new controller does. It's literally just the output to the track and that's it. So my only guess as to why they've done this is that this must be a slightly cheaper controller to produce. Obviously this is a very affordable train set, almost unbelievably so. This must have just shaved maybe just a few pounds off the price, enabling them to make this set for this amount of money. I can't think of any other reason why they would have done that. Then of course you've got the power supply, basic stuff. And then we have the track. So you've got 12 pieces of curves here. That's enough to make 1/3 radius circuit of TT track. Very nice. And of course you've also got a couple of straights here as well. So you've got a standard straight and then a power track straight, allowing you to connect up the controller. And then you also get the re-railing device, which of course is useful if you're a beginner. So with that, let's now go through and do a bit of a price breakdown because this is unbelievable. So track pieces. These pieces of track on Hornby's website cost £3.75 each. And of course you need 12 of these curves to make up a circuit, so in total the RRP for these curves would be £45. But we're going to be very generous and call it £20. That seems about the right amount that you would want to pay for 12 of these. So keep that in mind, £20. I didn't even calculate the price of these, so I'll be even more generous and leave those out. Then you've got two wagons. Well, the price of a super detailed normal Hornby TT wagon would be £25, but of course these are not super detailed, so I'm going to call it £25 for the both of these, and again I think that's very, very generous. Then you've got the controller. You're talking £20 just for a Hornby controller by itself, and that doesn't include the power supply, but I'll throw the power supply in. We'll call it £20 for the lot, and then I guess the re-railer, £1 for that. Now everything here, even being as generous as I have been, comes to £66, and we haven't even factored in the locomotive yet. That leaves £23.99 for this locomotive. Again, I think that is spectacularly generous. This has got to be worth £50, hasn't it? It's got to be. And yet, even being as generous as I have been, we're talking less than £25 for the locomotive. So value for money here seems absolutely spectacular. I don't quite know how they've been able to do this, but it all looks fantastic. So a close look at the loco, a close look at the rolling stock, then we'll put this together and see how well it works. The LSWR B4 was a very early class of 040 dock tank designed by William Adams. It was first introduced way back in 1891 when the first 10 were produced for shunting work in locations where there were tight radius curves, such as Southampton docks. Their short wheelbase made them ideal for this. Several years later, in 1908, Dougal Drummond designed and built 5 very similar 060 engines, and they were considered so similar that they were actually merged into the same class, making a total of 25 built. Many were given names rather than numbers, as per the tradition at Southampton docks, which is why so many of them did have names, including this example, Normandy, of course. Of 25 built in total, only 2 remain under preservation, and one of them is this example, Normandy. So let's get this straight. Even if we grossly undervalue everything else that comes in this train set, the price for this locomotive effectively comes out at less than £25. Now, how is that possible? It is absolutely crazy, and let me be clear, this is an excellent loco. I think it looks really, really good. This is the opposite to the Terrier in every single way. I thought the Terrier was way too expensive for what it was. With this one, I'm scratching my head as to how they managed to pull this off for the price that they did. Now, obviously, this is very, very different from the Terrier. It doesn't have the same level of detail. It's perhaps not quite such a good quality model. And I know there are people that are upset by how basic this is, and it's just a matter of understanding what this model is about. It's not supposed to be super detailed, it's supposed to be basic, it's supposed to be cheap, but even bearing that in mind, this is quite a lot better than I was expecting. So like I say, it's got a die-cast running plate, not just plastic. That is really, really impressive, and the weight comes in at 36 grams. So this is the lightest of Hornby's TT locomotives. The Terrier from last time was about 13 grams more than that, so it is lighter, but then again, it's not shockingly lighter because this is a smaller engine, so I don't think that is much of a problem. Let's talk about in what ways this has been simplified though, because obviously there is a lot going on here in order to make this model as cheap as it is. So first of all, we've got a few corners cut here. The wheels, as you can see, we don't have properly spoked wheels with the spokes going all the way through. We've got the plastic spokes fitted onto a disc. That's fair enough, I suppose. Quite a lot of the detail is missing or simplified, so this pipe work here on the side of the smoke box, as you can see, that's just a part of the moulding and it's been painted. It's not been painted massively precisely either, as you can see it's got a bit of overspray. Same with the gold boiler band here, little bit messy, probably not quite up to the same standard as the Terrier, but I guess okay for what this cost. Similarly, the Normandy printing on the side here, this looks to me like it's been UV printed. So it doesn't have all of these colours individually tampo printed on, it's just a machine printing this on in one go. It's absolutely fine and it does look okay actually, but up close you can kind of tell that's how this has been done. Plus, of course, it's a simple livery as well. It doesn't have loads of lining, it doesn't have loads of details picked out. Again, that will have contributed to the price. The other thing I've noticed is that the body is not a brilliant fit. In fact, there seems to be something protruding from the running plate just here, which is stopping the body sitting quite right on the running plate. So yeah, the quality of the model isn't quite up there with the Terrier. It's also missing the front steps. There should be some steps just behind the front cylinders here. Those are missing, I assume, because they would have interfered with the cylinders. But no, this loco is not particularly accurate or realistic. If you're accustomed to the kind of quality we saw with the Terrier, obviously this isn't a patch on it, but for less than £25, this is still miles better than I was expecting. So for example, look on the top of the tanks, all of this detail here looks absolutely great, doesn't it? The quality of the moulding is brilliant, and even the quality of the moulding on the die-cast parts here looks fine. On the steps, maybe not quite so much, yeah, it's a little bit sort of coarse looking there, but on the whole, not a problem. Here's a look at the buffer beams, very, very simple here. We don't have any accessories for the buffer beams, no hook, no vacuum pipes, nothing like that, so that's simple. The buffers are just plastic, a lot of TT buffers are metal. These are plastic though, so that's a simplification. Again though, I think that is okay. We've also got metal rods. The photo on the box made it look like these were sort of shoddy looking plastic rods, but they're not, they're metal, so that looks good. The safety valves have been picked out as well, so that looks pretty good. There's quite some precision there, to be fair. Yeah, that looks good. And of course, we've got this very strange cab that some of the B4s had. I love that they went for this cab as well. I mean, it gives the loco a lot of character, doesn't it? Another thing I forgot to say as well, it's missing its handrails. Yeah, there should be handrails on the B4s. This one doesn't have them. Again, I understand why they've done it, but for those looking for realism, bear in mind this is probably not going to be for you. The other great thing is the cab interior. We do actually have quite a lot of controls here. It's not painted or anything. We don't have any glazing or anything like that, but we do have a detailed cab interior. Again, for the money, that is wonderful to see. And then around the back, fairly basic. We've got just a moulded handrail, but hey, at least there is a handrail here. And similarly, moulded lamp brackets as well. Again, nothing wrong at all with the quality of the moulding. So it's a really nicely presented model. Up close, it doesn't stand up to scrutiny. Up close, the Terrier is a much better model. But then again, effectively, if my calculations are correct, the Terrier cost about 6 times as much as this. For a sixth of the price, I am not going to complain about this. And you know what? In terms of value for money, this is a lot better. Right, let's take a look at the rolling stock. So here we have the open wagon. I think we've pretty much gone through all of this, but we've got simplified wheels, no spokes or anything here, just disc wheels. Again, maybe that shaves off a few pence or whatever. Same thing with the buffers, just plastic buffers here. They look fine, but they are plastic, not metal. Keep that in mind. Here's a closer look at that simplified brake rigging. Yes, it's basic, it's a bit feeble if you like your realism, but at least there's something here. And as you can see, the underframe, very basic. Again though, I cannot fault the bodywork. I mean, the moulding's great, the paintwork looks good. Again, from any sort of distance, this is going to look great. Not so much up close like the loco, but from a distance, absolutely fine. And then of course the Southern Railway van, exactly the same chassis as the wagon, the open wagon, but a very different body, of course. Beautifully moulded, great bit of detail to it, nothing separately fitted as you'd expect, but it's well presented. The roof is painted white, and then the Southern Railway lettering, I think you can see that that is UV printed. It's got a slightly grainy sort of look to it, which tells me that that is not a smooth tampo print. Same with the other text on the side of the wagon, but again, that means that these can be produced cheaply. And from any sort of distance, can you tell that this isn't tampo printed? No, I don't think you can. It was a good choice. That's efficiency for you, and that is how this train set cost 90 quid. Anyway, let's set up the track and let's turn our attention back to the locomotive. We've not seen the mechanism for ourselves yet, nor have we seen how this thing runs, and I'm really looking forward to giving this a try. So the track isn't really the best. It's a little bit tricky to put together, more so than 00 at least. And there is something a little bit rum about the track still. It doesn't sit flat. You know, this was a problem when they first released this track. It's still a thing now. Fine, of course, if you're going to put it onto a baseboard and pin it down, but if you lay it onto the carpet, as most people will do, or at least onto the floor, it is a shame that it doesn't sit down flat. Yeah, not great. But anyway, here is the locomotive. I have already tested this, which renders me putting it on the track like that on camera a little bit redundant and unnecessarily flashy, for which I apologise. But I will show you the performance in just a second. First though, I want to talk about the mechanism. So as you can see, there is no base keeper plate on this locomotive. There's no screws to remove on the base, which tells us that this is built a little bit differently to Hornby's other locomotives. So to see what's going on, I'm going to remove the body for you. Firstly, you need to remove the two couplings. These do actually have to come off in order to remove the body. And then by inserting two very thin screwdrivers, you can disengage the clips at either end of the chassis, and then the body comes away quite easily. This is actually quite a pleasing body to remove. It's not too difficult. It uses screws and clips. Yeah, it's quite an easy thing to access, to be fair. Inside though, it's a bit of a mixed bag. This is a plastic chassis here, so it's like the 00040s really, a basic plastic chassis. The axles don't have any separate bearings, I think for the first time in TT, which again is a shame, but it's understandable, I suppose, for the price. The axles are loaded in from the top, which means if you want to get the wheels out or access the pickups or whatever, you actually would have to disassemble the chassis, removing the motor, etc., in order to get access to those. It does use wiper pickups, as you can see, but again, if you wanted to service those, you'd have to maybe get the wheels out. Not really the best in terms of serviceability. The motor though is really lovely. This is a coreless motor. It is a very, very small one, but performance-wise, I cannot fault it. And look at this, it even has a flywheel built into its worm drive. That is quite impressive given the size of this engine. And then you've got the 6-pin DCC socket, which is quite impressive to see on such a simple locomotive. So this is a step up from the basic 00 scale Hornby 040s. You know, they don't have flywheels, they don't have good quality coreless motors, they don't have DCC sockets, but in other ways it's pretty much the same in terms of the lack of serviceability. You know, this is not really a loco that you're going to be stripping down very often to clean, and it doesn't have the bearings or anything like that. It's got the plastic chassis. Yeah, it's very, very simple. Of course, the only difference is that at TT scale, dirt and fluff and hair are going to make a bit more of a difference than they do in 00. In 00, these 040s can run almost forever without any servicing or cleaning whatsoever, and somehow they just don't give up. This I can see being a little bit different. Smaller locos, TT, N scale, whatever, they do seem to be a bit more sensitive to dust and dirt build-up, so it will be interesting to see how this goes long term. But anyway, that is the mechanism. It's okay for the price, but it is the worst I think we've seen in Hornby's TT range. But anyway, with that, let me jump back in time and I shall show you how this thing ran. Right, moment of truth then. So currently I have the controller that came with the train set up. That's because I want to demonstrate the train set as it is. Ideally though, these controllers need to be replaced as soon as possible. I think it's fair to say they're not the greatest. They will do the job, but generally you can get better performance out of a better controller. But either way, with that out of the way, let's give this its first ever test. Is it working? Is it alive? Let's find out. Here we go. A little bit of juice. Oh, ooh. Yes and no is the answer. It's obviously not been running yet, so it's maybe struggling a little bit with continuity. But when it does go, it's pretty good and smooth, it must be said. Let's try that again. Oh, these controllers, blimey. But yeah, I mean, it is struggling at the moment, but it does seem as though the potential is there for some nice performance. Yeah, it's limping along. Like I say though, it probably does need running in. All right, yeah, but it's going, isn't it? It's nice. Half speed. Oh yeah, it's quick. Blimey, it is a quick one. That's half power. What about full power then? Yeah, it's very fast. I mean, in a way, it would have benefited from the other new controller Hornby users because that does have a low mode. That might have benefited this loco because it's very, very fast. But it's not really cutting out now, is it? I mean, at least not at the higher speeds. Let's give this a go at the crawl then. And then I will change controller because it is doing my head in using this thing. Ooh, yeah. Look at that. They are good crawlers, these controllers, I suppose. But yeah, that is outstanding. I mean, the double, I know I've mentioned them a lot today, but Hornby's 00040s, at least the ones you find in train sets, they cannot do this, regardless of what controller you use. And it's cut out. Anticlimax. Anyway, I'll run this in with this controller, and then I shall swap over. But anyway, let's see how she looks around the track. Here we go. Okay, so yeah, she's very quick. Maybe the gearing then isn't the greatest. But then again, this is not my usual controller. So I'll let this run in, I'll let it fully warm up, and then when we come back, I'll have the Gauge Master controller on, and I'll do some proper testing with that, and you can see how this works compared with other TT locos. So I'll be right back, don't go anywhere. Alright folks, we are back, and we are now on the Gauge Master controller. And the main difference is really, apart from the ergonomic improvement, the main difference is the loco runs much more quietly. Listen to that. Well, or rather, listen to the lack of noise, because that is a lot healthier sounding, for sure. And it just shows what a beautiful loco this is, actually. I still can't believe the price of it. You know, I'll never shut up about the price of the Terrier, so I think it's only fair that I never shut up about the price of this either, but in a good way. But yeah, it is fantastic. And let me show you the slow speed. I am turning it up and it's moving. I mean, good grief. That is impressive. Smooth acceleration. Yep. I mean, it's just fantastic. It may not be as good mechanically, and it may be a bit of a pain in the neck to service, to say the least, but it does run as well as the others. And there's the torque for you. Yeah, great torque. So, do you know what? Oops, don't derail it. Oh, I did derail it. So it may run too fast. I mean, for a B4 tank at 50% speed, that is ridiculous. Let's show 100%. It's way too fast, ridiculously fast, but it doesn't matter because it can still crawl, it can still do the realistic speed. So I don't mind that. And in fact, for a basic train set that maybe youngsters are going to get for Christmas, as much as I hate to say it, which is a lie, I love to say it, it's kind of cool that it can go as fast as that. You know, it's going to be enjoyed, isn't it? That kind of speed. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it, no. Why not? For this loco, why not make it go super quick? It's a pocket rocket in TT. I've not thought of that actually. It is genuinely a pocket rocket in TT. Amazing. Right, the rolling stock has arrived, as you can see. I've tried to get it all onto the straight if possible. Let's see if we have a bit more of a successful coupling than we did with the Terrier. Did we? Oh, almost. Oops. Well, actually, we're on the curve a bit there, aren't we? Maybe that was a bit unfair. Ah, now we've got it. Well, I think that speaks for itself. That seemed to work rather well. So yeah, this new rolling stock looks great. Really good. So with that, we'll go... Oh. Premature compliments there for the couplings. Let's try again. Give it a good ram. Yeah, that looks better now, doesn't it? Right, with that then, let's set this off. Here we go. All right, so lots and lots of thoughts about this. Overall though, I really do like this. I think this is just what TT needed. Admittedly, I think these are the worst of Hornby's TT models, but they are supposed to be that way. It is nice to see something a little bit simpler, something a little bit more enjoyable to the beginner, and certainly something a little bit more affordable now available in TT. Now, I don't necessarily believe this, but one potential argument against this set is that in 00 scale you can get a basic Hornby 040 train set, which is much bigger. You know, you get more track in terms of the area it takes up, bigger models, that kind of thing, for less. You know, £90 for a basic train set like this in 00, you can do better than that. You really can. What, 70 quid? I've seen them for less than that even. But, and this is why I don't subscribe to that way of thinking, this is a lot different from the 040 pocket rockets. This locomotive is new tooled, it's more detailed, it's got more features, better motor, flywheel, DCC ready, you name it, it's a lot better. It is a lot better. Also, the rolling stock, probably not as much in it, but it's certainly not worse than your basic Hornby train set material in 00. Plus it's got modern couplings, modern wheels, everything's new. Yeah, I think for £90, I still think this is the better product. Yeah, so value-wise, even compared with 00, it's about right, but compared with the rest of TT, miles better value. And legitimately a beautiful loco. It's not particularly detailed, it's not particularly accurate, it is missing a few bits and bobs, so this won't be for everybody, but if you're not too much of a rivet counter, I still think this loco could be very enjoyable indeed. So well done to Hornby, what a great train set. Everything works well, everything looks good, and my goodness, what a price point. Let's have some ratings then for Hornby's brand new branch line freight train set in TT scale. Now, looking at my ratings, obviously they don't look particularly flattering, do they? But obviously that's because this is a cheap train set. It is very basic and the detail has suffered as a result of that, and so has the quality a little bit. Now that's to be expected, of course. This is a cheap set and it's all reflected in the price, of course, but that does shine through in the scores, obviously. So level of detail then, I've given 3-star. This is a lot simpler than a lot of the other TT models. So there's simplified detail, lots of molded detail rather than separately fitted parts, simplified decoration and UV printed decoration at that. It looks okay from a distance, but up close it's a little bit fuzzy. No painted cab detail, nothing like that, missing handrails, that kind of thing. Yeah, it is very simple. Same with the rolling stock, simplified brake rigging, not that much detail, UV printed paintwork for the most part. Yeah, it's simple. On the plus side though, the models look fantastic, the moulding is nice and crisp, the finishes, can't fault them, really lovely finish on the loco in particular, of course, and the way they are presented is brilliant. I cannot fault the performance though. This does run really nicely. I mean, on the controller it comes with, things are maybe not quite the best, sound-wise anyway, but it still runs pretty well on the controller it comes with. But with a Gagemaster controller, it comes into its own. It's smooth, it's quiet, much quieter on the Gagemaster, of course. It can crawl beautifully, it doesn't really cut out, at least not after running in. The wagons seem to perform fine, they couple, yeah, 5-star on performance. It's really good. Pulling power, I couldn't actually get it to register any pulling power. I am upgrading my measuring equipment next year, so I should be able to do better soon. But we're talking probably approximately 5 coaches for this to haul. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but it's not a powerful hauler. 36 grams, no traction tyres, which is a good thing, by the way. It's not going to be that much of a great hauler, but certainly a small freight train, this is going to manage that fine. Mechanism then is lacking a bit. Now again, this is fine, it's reflected in the price, but it is a pity really that this is the worst mechanism in Hornby's TT range. So it doesn't have any bearings on its driving axles. Again, you can live with that on quite a light loco, but it's a pity. Plastic chassis like the 00040s, it is very, very basic, and the serviceability leaves a bit to be desired as well. To access the pickups, well, it's very difficult. You could try and do it with the wheels in situ, but to give them a proper clean or a proper adjustment, you would have to take out the motor and actually physically remove the wheels from the chassis. Not ideal. On the plus side though, it does have wiper pickups, not some sort of bearing based pickup, so that's good. It has a quality cordless motor which runs beautifully. It does have a flywheel as well, which again is great, and it's DCC ready. I do think on DCC though, you would want to invest in a stay alive. Is there room for a stay alive capacitor in here? Well, not a lot, but maybe there would be. It's definitely worth looking into though. Quality then, again, it's a shame this isn't slightly better. It is understandable, of course, but noticeably this is not the high quality loco that a lot of Hornby's other TT locos are. So paint precision, not great. The painting of some of the details on the locomotive in particular is a little bit sloppy, not great. The body doesn't fit on properly on the locomotive. There seems to be some flashing or, I don't know, bit of extra material on the running plate which stops the body from fitting properly. Plastic chassis, like I've already said, that's not great. You can see that these models haven't had as much spent on them. Although the die-cast running plate on the locomotive was a nice surprise, and it's a good job it's got that, otherwise it would be way, way too light. But of course, all of this is kind of worth it because of how cheap this train set is. So everything here is new tooled. The RRP is $99.99, and at the retailers you can get this for £89.99. That's kind of half the price easily of any of the other sets that are available at the moment. So value for money, 5-star. Yes, it's a simpler set of models. You don't quite have the detail, quality or mechanism, but in terms of value, I think this is the best we've seen in Hornby's TT range. And it's a good job this is cheap. If this was over £100, I would say it's too cheaply made. But at this price, I think it's actually pretty good. If you want the more premium models, they're available. But if you want something more basic but more affordable, this is a really good option. Overall then, that is a score of 7.47 out of 10, or a grade of C. Into the logbook we go, and it is second place, just above the Hornby Terrier and below the Hornby Class 66. Better than the Terrier? Well, better value for sure. Is the detail better? Is the quality and mechanism better? No, obviously not. But something like a sixth of the price in terms of the locomotive, or the entire set, everything, for much less money than just the Terrier by itself. I think that is why I consider this to be a better option. Alright then folks, well that will just about do it for my review of this new Hornby train set. And yeah, I really enjoyed this actually. They've done a really good job. The big question though is, what is next? Is this going to be a one-off? Is this going to be a one-off budget offering in an otherwise very expensive range? Or are we going to see a few more locos like this? Are we going to see a budget tender engine available for less than £100? Oh, that would be something, wouldn't it? Are we going to see more rolling stock? Are we going to see a nice diesel that is less than £100? You know, proper mechanism, good job, but simplified in its detail? Maybe. Maybe. I suspect this train set is a test run. I think if this goes well and there's an appetite for it, and maybe if it outperforms some of the more expensive sets, well, that might send Hornby a very strong message that there is an appetite for this sort of thing. So we shall have to see, and you know, we won't get sales data from this unless Hornby decides to share it with us, but Hornby's future TT announcements will be very telling. If we see more like this, then we know that this is the sort of thing that people want. How is it going to end? I don't know. This could be the only budget set of TT models we ever see, or it might just be the beginning. Let me know down in the comments what you think. But anyway, I think this is great. Yeah, really, really enjoyable. Beautiful loco, simple, but beautiful, certainly. And if you want to try this out, if you want to show Hornby that, you know, this is the kind of thing you want to see more of, by all means, grab one. I've got affiliate links down in the description. See what you think. I really enjoyed this. But for now, thanks ever so much for watching, and I will see you again very, very soon for another review. All right, cheers, folks. You take care.